just to celebrate, oh. Like saying now you're buying, no. My baby, one day. Breakfast on the jet, you know.
Hey.
Jet, oh. That day, not today, you know. Big things are happening now.
Hello, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nzali, and this is Nzali Takes Africa. So I am a teacherpreneur, and I discuss on this channel how I transform my life by moving to the African continent. So if that is something that is of interest to you, you're ready to transform, you're ready to take that leap of faith and move to Africa, then I want you to go ahead in advance and like, share, and subscribe to this video and to this channel. Okay. All right. So I recognize there are a lot of new subscribers that are joining this channel. And so I just want to go back in time a little bit for my new folks and give you a little of my background, a little bit of history about who I am and what I do. So in 2014, I was a middle school English teacher in Washington, D.C., and I absolutely hated my job. I had lost my passion for education. And so I decided to quit, to take a pay cut. And then I started working with a local nonprofit in DC. While I was on my journey of like recovering who I was, I got this brilliant idea that I wanted to live abroad, do something completely different. And specifically, I wanted to move to Africa to do that. And so, literally, in less than a year, I was on a plane to South Africa. And then later, currently, I'm living in Ghana. So it has been 8 years into this thing, and I am absolutely loving the decision that I made. And this is important because this is exactly what we're going to talk about in today's video. We're going to talk about how do you get unstuck? How do you get out of the mud of your life so that you can run free? You can live out your dreams. You can create the things that you've always wanted for yourself. And so if that's something that you want to do, if that's something that interests you, I encourage you to continue to watch this video. And not only should you continue to watch the video, but you can always hit me up on Instagram at Nzali Takes Africa. Ask me a question or two. You can also set up a consultation call with me if you want to know more about how to relocate to the African continent. My email is showing there on this screen, so you can always hit your girl up. All right, so let's jump right on in. How do we get unstuck? So, as I told you, before I made this journey across the Atlantic, I think I was like a functioning, I don't want to say depressed, but I think I was a functioning depressed person, or maybe not even depressed, but I had very high anxiety. So I would literally get in my car and I would blast my music because I'm a music girl. Music gets me through. And I would get more and more anxious the closer and closer I would get to my school that I was teaching at. By the time I got into the parking lot of the school, I would have to sit there an additional 15, 20 minutes to get my mind together enough to walk to the door. Then when I would walk to the door, I would greet security. I would go through and I would then have to get my mind together to walk to the third floor because my classroom was on the third floor. So I would literally dilly-daddle around with all the teachers on the first floor, talking, gisting, trying to work myself up to the second floor. Then I get there and have to work my way up to my classroom. And so I was very anxious. And I felt like I had done everything that I was supposed to do. Because at that point, I was maybe like 24, I believe. Don't get me to quote it exactly, but I believe I was somewhere around 24. And so I had gone to a really prestigious university. I graduated with honors. I was in my career. I was doing well as a teacher. I was thriving, like I had good performance records. And I had my own place. I wasn't asking my family or anybody for money or assistance. For the most part, I was just young person starting out my life, but there was this increasing feeling of being like unfulfilled, feeling like, okay, what's next? Like there's no move, there's no growth, there's no elevation, if you should say. So the very first thing that I had to do was actually acknowledge that these were things that I was feeling. Right? So I had to admit it to myself. I had to admit that even though there was technically nothing wrong in my life, there was something wrong in my life. And it wasn't an external thing, it was an internal thing. I was not fulfilled. I felt trapped. I felt like I wasn't living out up to my full potential. And so once I was able to admit that, okay, I'm anxious. I love teaching, but I have lost my passion. Um, I don't feel like I'm growing. Once I was able to actually be honest with myself, I didn't necessarily tell that to other people. I just admitted it to myself that I wasn't fulfilled. Then I was able to like face it head on. So it was like, okay, you're anxious. What can you do about being anxious? You don't feel fulfilled. What can you do to bring yourself more fulfillment, more enjoyment in your day to day life? And so once I was able to do that, then I was able to get to some solutions or things that I could at least try out to see if that was going to help me get over the hump. Okay. So I would say if you're currently feeling stuck, feeling like, oh, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know. I just know I don't want to be here. Then I would say the first thing to do is just admit it to yourself. Be honest. Don't mean you got to share it, but just admit it to yourself. And then one of the ways that you can do that is my journal, low key, is on my phone. I always like type notes into my phone. So you could put your notes down in your phone. You could actually also literally journal, right? Where's my journal? I love her. She's beautiful like me. You can journal it, right? If you're a creative, expressive person, put the expression in your art, but get it out of your body, right? Put some words to it, right? And so just admit it to yourself. Once you admit it, then you can start to problem solve. Okay, so also one of the things that I did was once I admitted it to myself, right? I got clear that, like, okay, this is something that really, really, really is happening. Then I had to identify things that were blocking me, things that were in my way from living the life that I really, really wanted to live. Oftentimes, I feel like, especially Black women in America, when I tell you we have dreams deferred, we throw our dreams to the wind for the sake of everybody else, for the sake of the Black community at large, for the sake of your mama, for the sake of your daddy, for the sake of your brothers, for the sake of your family, your friends, other people's expectations. OPP, shout out to Iyanla, other people's problems. We will put ourselves to the back burner. And so we never take time to identify what are the things that are holding me back. For me, it was the fear of not having enough. Specifically for me, let me get real specific. For me, it was a money fear. It was a resource fear. It was a belief in lack. It was the fear that I don't have enough to be able to take care of myself. I grew up in a family where I was the last born. There was a lot of responsibility or expectations that were put on me to do very well, right? So it's almost like I could not fail. You are the person who will not fail. And that came from my immediate family, from my external family, from friends. It was like, you are the one who will do well. And so with that came a lot of responsibility. With that, I created a belief in my mind that, like, I can't ask for help. I can't ask for assistance. I just got to figure it out and do it. And not only do it, but do it exceptionally well on my own. So what that then turned into as an adult was I can't ask nobody for money. I have to have my own money. I have to have enough to take care of me and never have to seek assistance. Right. And so then that turned into this constant overvigilance, anxiety about money, and the feeling like, oh my God, am I getting to the point where I don't have, you know? So that was a belief that I had to identify as a roadblock. Because when I had that fear around money, that anxiety around money, it kept me in a space where it was like, well, I have to teach because teaching is consistent, right? If I'm teaching and I have this good job, right, with benefits, then I'm stable, right? If I leave teaching, am I not going to be stable? If I have to take a pay cut for a little bit to get to the next step, is that going to set me back? Am I going to have to move back home? Am I going to have to ask my parents for money? I don't want to do that because that bruises the ego that I've set up for myself, right? So for me, that was one of my biggest roadblocks. For you, it could be something completely different. It could be you feel responsible to your family. So you're like that responsibility that you feel to your family to take care of them, to provide for them, is something that's holding you back from doing the things that are best for you and your assignment while you're here. So again, when we're thinking about getting unstuck, we have admitted the things to ourselves, right? But then also we got to identify the things that are on our path that are keeping us in that in-between space. It's different for everybody. It manifests differently from everybody. Because, for example, you could also have a money wound, but it doesn't manifest the same way it manifested for me. But the point is, you got to be able to name it. You got to be able to see that that's what's in your way. Because once you're able to see the hurdle, again, then you're able to start figuring out how you're going to get over it. So the second part was to identify those roadblocks. The next thing that I had to do was I had to be open to something new. And again, remember that movie years ago? Sanaa Lathan was in the movie. It was called Something New, and she was dating this white guy, and all this kind of stuff. So I'm not saying you need to go and date a white man, but what I'm saying is, for some of you, you might, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you just have to be open to the idea, open to try things that are not your norm. So for me, I had gone to university. By my second year, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. So I was zeroed in on being a great educator. But then I got to this point where I'm this great educator and I hate my job. If I would not have been open to doing something new, which was working with the nonprofit, looking at education in a different way, because at that place I was the division coordinator. So we still work with children, but in a very different way. We ran after school programs, STEM clubs, summer camps, all of that type of stuff, scholarship fund. So it was still impactful, but just in a different lens. I had to be open to something different. During this time, I also had the idea to move to Africa again, a place that I had never been. There's so many different countries. Which country was I going to go to? But still, I had to be open to the idea, to the concept that this is something that is new. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a whole bunch of things, but I'm willing to take the ride because the ride that I'm on right now is making me sick. So let me try to see what this ride's going to produce for me. It can't get no worse than this one. So be open to something new. And I know that this is really difficult for my Black American women because our culture really is really trying to keep us in a box. Every time we hit another marker, then there's a public attack on, well, Black women are doing this, this, and this, and Black women are doing this, this, and this. Sis, them people, okay? Them comments and what people have to say. Do something new. They say Black women, we don't like to hike. Go take a hike. Black women don't like to swim. Get your hair wet. Black women don't do this. Do it. Try something new. With you trying something new, it's going to open up your mind. It's going to open up your horizon to all extra possibilities. That's the thing. So when you start saying, okay, God, I'm open to something new. Sorry, y'all. Hold on. It's my little messenger. When you start saying that you're open to something new, God, I'm open to something new, God is going to bring you different experiences. Once you start having those experiences, you're going to start to, your worldview is going to start to open up. When your worldview starts to open up, then you are able to add on to the dream for your life. You're able to see like, oh, well, it don't really have to be like this. Other people are doing it like this. Maybe let me try a little bit of that and see how that aligns with my life. And so be open. That's a very, 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 very important part of that. Being open to doing something new. And the last part, which was something that really saved my life and really kind of pushed me into this experience of moving abroad and really helped me cultivate the energy to really, really change and transform my life, I had to seek community. There was a community of women in Maryland that I was doing a lot of healing work with, sisterhood, bonding, all of that kind of stuff with in Maryland during that year of 2014, going into 2015, before I left to move to Africa. And so when you are in a community of like-minded women, the impossible starts to seem possible, because the women, the community that you are a part of, everybody is on the same wavelength. Everybody is talking about transformation. Everybody's talking about elevation. Everybody's moving towards achieving the goals that they have for their life. It is a energy cultivated in those type of spaces that give you the courage to step outside of the box, give you the courage to be honest with yourself, give you the courage to identify the things that are blocking you, and they will help you connect with resources and find ways to get over those hurdles. So creating a community, seeking out a community is going to be very, very important, especially as women. I find that women are a lot more communal in nature than men. And so I believe that when you really, really, really are trying to do something, you need a really good sister circle. A really good sister circle. And that sister circle has to be in alignment with the things that you're trying to do. So my sister circle at that time were very pro Africa. They were like, oh, you talking about you want to go to Africa? Go, sis. Matter of fact, my mom goes back and forth. You know, she spends half the year in Ghana, half the year here. It's possible. Like, the possibility was introduced to me and cultivated in my sister circle. And to be quite honest, people who weren't really in alignment with that and didn't really support that, I found myself naturally kind of gravitating away. And that's not a bad thing. There's no like, what do you call it? Like, there's no conflict around that. It's just my soul was calling for something different. My soul had a different assignment and a different plan. And so it had to be nurtured and tended to in a garden, in a space where people also had what I needed. And so when you find that, I think that is extremely, extremely, extremely important for you getting unstuck. Having the right circle of people around you that can support you in doing what you need to do, whether that's through financial resources, emotional support, psychological support, cheerleaders, you know, whatever that is. I think that that's very, very important for you to have. So again, I encourage you all, if you're feeling stuck and you want to get unstuck, you want to transform your life, then I'm going to say one of the pieces that I mentioned today about becoming a part of a community, I want to offer that to you today. You can become a member to this channel in Zali Takes Africa. And what we do in our membership circle here is that we go into the nitty-gritty details that help you with your repatriation journey, right? Help you with your moving abroad journey. Because again, like I said, I've done it. I was there. I was not happy. I was unhealthy. My mental was not together. My emotional space was not together, but I moved through that space. I worked through that space. And I was able to achieve one of the things that was a goal for me, which was to come to Africa and to live in Africa. And I've been doing that now for 8 years. So in our community, our membership space, those are the things that we're talking about in detail. So in order for you to become a member, the first thing you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like the video. You can also share it with someone else who you think would be good to join our membership space. Okay, so yeah, subscribe to the channel, become a member, and then maybe you're not ready to do the group focus work, right? But you still want to have a conversation with me about my journey, about how you can do the same thing, then you can always email me in zalitakesafrica@gmail.com. Set up a consultation time with me. I'll put that link in the description box. And let's get free, y'all. Let's get free. Okay, so I love y'all. I hope y'all are having a beautiful rest of your day. Remember, you don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to stay in a place that doesn't serve you, doing things that don't serve you. You can change your life. I've changed my life, so I know it works. I have a community of sister women who have also changed their life, so I know it works. All right, y'all be blessed. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.